One win. That's all standing between the Indiana Pacers and their first ever NBA championship. Just one single win after an absolute dogfight of an NBA Finals series against a tough Oklahoma City Thunder team now knotted up at 3-3. But as the Pacers are this close to glory, there's a huge question mark hanging over them. Did their all-in, win-now strategy, trading away future pieces, not only mess with their long-term plans, but also nearly blow up their chances in these finals? They've pushed every single chip to the middle of the table. Now, with Game 7 staring them down, we're about to find out if it all pays off, or if Indiana's made a mistake that'll echo for years. Found themselves in a wild spot this season. With Tyrese Haliburton's dazzling playmaking and bringing in Pascal Siakam mid-season, people started to think, hey, this team could actually go all the way. And management? They clearly thought so too. The front office, led by Kevin Pritchard, isn't shy about making big moves, and this year was no different. The Pacers built a roster designed to win right now, putting key veterans and solid role players like Myles Turner, Obi Toppin, and TJ McConnell around their stars. The message couldn't have been clearer. The future is now. This aggressive approach really came to a head with a major trade they made during the NBA Finals. They sent their 2025 first-round pick, number 23 overall, and the rights to Mojave King to the New Orleans Pelicans. In return, they got their own 2026 first-round pick back, which the Pelicans had owned. Now, on the surface, this might look like they're just kicking the can down the road, or maybe making a small money move to help re-sign guys like Myles Turner and deal with a tricky CBA. But it's way more than that. It's a statement. Trading a first-rounder, even a late one, while you're in the finals? That screams you're all about the present. It also, and this is big, now lets the Pacers trade up to 4 first-round picks between 2026 and 2032. That gives them a ton of ammo for future blockbuster deals to keep building around a championship core. But of course, every move like this has risks. The Pacers are betting big on this current squad. They're choosing immediate glory over slowly building through the draft with young, cheap talent. This isn't a new strategy in the NBA, but it always makes you wonder, what if now isn't enough? What if they don't actually win the championship? The gamble, trading their 2025 first-rounder, even while getting their 2026 pick back, really hammers home the Pacers' championship or bust vibe this season. What were they hoping to get out of it? Well, a couple of things. First, it gives them a little bit of instant salary cap breathing room, which could help with luxury tax stuff as they try to keep important players like Myles Turner. Every dollar really does count under this tough new collective bargaining agreement. Second, and this might be even bigger, getting that 2026 first-round pick back gives them a lot more freedom to make trades down the line. Before, because of picks they owed other teams, they couldn't really package multiple future firsts. Now, Indiana has the draft capital to make a serious splash later on, maybe add another star or make a few smaller deals to keep the roster strong around Haliburton and Siakam. This sets them up to stay in the hunt in the Eastern Conference for years, as long as their main guys keep playing at a top level. The unspoken goal, the one everyone knows is there, it's simple. Win an NBA championship right now. The front office truly believes this team, as it is and with the chance to get even better using these newly flexible trade assets, can go all the way. They looked at their roster, where they were in the playoffs, and decided that giving up a late first-round pick was worth the extra financial and trading power it gave them in their title chase. It was a calculated risk all about maximizing their championship window with the stars they have. The part they don't say out loud, the massive pressure this puts on the team to actually bring home the trophy. Trial by fire. This NBA Finals series against the Oklahoma City Thunder, it's been a wild ride, showing just how tough the Pacers are and how incredibly small the difference is between winning it all and going home empty-handed at this level. After trading punches and falling behind 3-2, Indiana came out and absolutely dominated Game 6, crushing the Thunder 108-91 on their home floor to force a Game 7. That win, with their backs against the wall, was pretty much their whole season in a nutshell, facing problems head-on and figuring out how to win. A huge part of the story has been Tyrese Haliburton's health. He picked up a calf strain in Game 5, and everyone was worried about whether he could even play effectively. He only played 23 minutes in that do-or-die Game 6, but his 14 points in the first half and his leadership were absolutely vital before the game got out of hand, which thankfully let him get some much-needed rest. The fact that he's pushing through an injury that would keep most guys out during the regular season tells you everything about what's at stake. The Pacers' depth, which they built by design, has really come through. TJ McConnell has been a spark plug off the bench, giving them huge points, passes, and energy, especially when Haliburton's been out or resting. In the first half of Game 6, the Pacers bench absolutely schooled the Thunder's reserves, outscoring them 19-3. That was a massive reason they built that huge lead. Obi Toppin, another key guy off the bench, actually led all scorers in Game 6 with 20 points, hitting big threes and keeping the momentum squarely with Indiana. Defensively, after struggling a bit earlier in the series, when OKC's D was smothering them, Indiana really locked in for Game 6. They held that explosive Thunder offense to just 91 points, did a great job on MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and forced turnovers that got their fast break going. Coach Rick Carlisle's smart rotations and changes have been so important, getting the most out of his bench and managing Haliburton's injury. Guys like Andrew Nembhard, 17 points in Game 6, and Pascal Siakam, 16 points, 13 rebounds in Game 6, have also stepped up big time. It hasn't all been perfect though. Myles Turner has had a tough time scoring in these finals, and you know all eyes will be on him in Game 7. But the bottom line is, even with injuries and facing a stacked OKC team, the Pacers' win-now plan, backed up by their deep bench and coaching, has them one game away from a championship. They bounced back from losing 2 straight for the first time in the playoffs to deliver a monster win when their season was on the line. The price of glory. So the Pacers are one win from popping champagne and hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy. But we've got to think about the long-term fallout of their aggressive moves, especially trading away draft picks. If they win Game 7, you can bet any talk about future costs will get drowned out by parades and pure joy. A championship banner hangs forever, right? And that gamble will look like genius. But what if they don't win? Suddenly, that decision to trade their 2025 first-round pick, even though they got their 2026 pick back and more trade options, means one less chance to add young, cheap talent next offseason. Being good year after year in the NBA often comes down to mixing your stars with up-and-coming players on those rookie contracts. Those young guys don't just give you depth and potential future stars, they're also super important for managing the salary cap, especially with this new, tougher CBA. By going all in on right now, the Pacers are betting that their current core, plus some smart veteran signings or future trades using those picks they can now move, can keep playing at this top level for a few years. If injuries start to pile up for key players, or if the team just isn't as good, not having those young guys coming in through the draft could make it way harder and take way longer to retool or rebuild. Getting really good players without high draft picks usually means taking on big salaries or trading away even more future assets, and that can turn into a cycle of just trying to patch holes. Now, that recent trade does give them a lot of firepower with up to 4 first-round picks they can trade between 2026 and 2032. That's a pretty strong hand for a team trying to win. This flexibility could let them bring in another star to team up with Haliburton and Siakam or keep adding good role players. But the actual value of those future picks also depends on how good the Pacers stay. If they're still contenders, those picks will be late in the first round and they won't be worth as much in a trade. Ultimately, whether Indiana messed up their future really comes down to what happens in Game 7 and if they can keep playing like this. A championship makes everyone forget about the costs. Anything less and people will be looking much harder at these win-now moves, especially if the team can't get back to this point in the next few years. So let's get back to it. Did the Indiana Pacers mess up their future and their shot at the 2025 NBA Finals? Well, look where they are right now, tied 3-3, heading to a Game 7 for the whole thing. You can't exactly call their strategy a disaster in the short term, can you? Their aggressive team building, their gutsy trades, and how they've adapted on the court have taken them further than a lot of people expected, right to the brink. They've fought through injuries to stars like Tyrese Haliburton, shown off amazing depth with huge performances from their bench, and coach Rick Carlisle has made some game-changing adjustments. Forcing a Game 7 against a beast like the Oklahoma City Thunder, that says a lot about their talent, their fight, and how well their win-now plan has worked. The main goal was to compete for a championship, and they are absolutely 100% doing that. That trade with the first-round pick? Yeah, they gave up a young player for next year, but it was a calculated risk to give them more options now and later. It helped a tiny bit with the salary cap, but more importantly, it opened the door for potentially big future trades because they now control more of their own draft picks down the road. That shows they're not just thinking about this season, they're trying to keep this championship window propped open. But the risk? Oh, it's still very real. If Game 7 doesn't go their way, the whole story could flip. The conversation will shift to what they gave up, the chances they passed on to build things a bit more slowly and safely. Making the finals is a huge deal, no doubt, but for a team that went all in like this, coming up short of the ultimate prize would definitely make people ask if the price was too steep, especially if they can't stay at this level. The gamble was for a ring, and anything less means those what-ifs will hang around. At the end of the day, the Pacers made a massive bet on themselves. They decided to go hard for a championship with this group, believing that winning an NBA title was worth the risk to their future draft picks. Right now, that bet has paid off by getting them to the last game of the NBA season. Whether it's a long-term mess-up is something we'll only really know in a few years. But for this moment, they are exactly where their gambles were supposed to take them. One game from a championship. The strategy has worked so far. Now they just need the ultimate payoff. The tension is insane. Game 7. Winner takes all. The Indiana Pacers have put everything on the line. But what do you think? Was their aggressive trade strategy a brilliant move that's got them this close to a title? Or was it a reckless gamble that could come back to bite them in the future, no matter what happens Sunday? Did the Pacers make the right calls, or did they totally mess up? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. The Indiana Pacers' run to Game 7 of the NBA Finals has been all about big ambition, smart risks, and pure grit on the court. Their choice to trade future pieces for a shot at winning now and getting more flexibility was a bold move. It shows they're dead serious about winning a title with this group, while also setting themselves up for future deals. They've battled through setbacks, their depth has been incredible, and now they're just one win away from the franchise's very first NBA championship. Whether this whole thing ends up being called a huge success or a story people tell as a warning really depends on what happens under those bright lights of Game 7 and in the seasons that come after. A championship ring has a funny way of making all the questions and criticisms disappear. But the NBA is a tough league, and staying at the top is a massive challenge. The Pacers believed in their plan, their players, and their strategy. Now, the whole basketball world is watching to see if that belief gets cemented with a banner hanging in Gainbridge Fieldhouse.